What's up, fam? Elijah here, and welcome back to another episode of EXTOL WE. And this week, Christian, Daniel, George, Valerie, Andy, Gail, and the church are my extras, and I am the ordinary. The two videos that went live this last week were Ever Increasing Glory, connected 3.5 years ago in the past to a video called Fullness of Time. Now, I've got so many things blasting through my heart and mind. Had to write notes, or I swear these videos, as of late, these videos have been getting out of hand, like 30, 45 minutes long. And so, like I said from the beginning, casting vision, I don't make short, sweet videos that you can take down in 2 to 5 minutes. So staying on brand, on point, being myself. But this week, so many things to go through, and what the Lord is doing is so incredibly beautiful that the video that was the fullness of time, in which God brought all of the fulfillment of all of the extras in all of the world, with all of the Jexicas and my brother, and the announcement of the apostolic house at C3, and all of the things, that the fulfillment of all of the things that God brought to pass in the fullness of time happened on Sunday, June 12th, and that was the Sunday right after I had been rebaptized, that unless a seed falls to the ground and dies, it cannot bear much fruit. And so I fell to the ground. God did a new work in my life. And then the very next Sunday, God brought then the first fruits of the things that were yet to come. And that video went live on June 21st, the longest day of the year, June 21st, 2022. And it was so beautiful to see the mass of revelation that God was bringing in the longest day of the year, a day of revelation, then that was speaking to 3.5 years in the future to 12/21, when I would be climbing a mountain with my friends, climbing Ore Mountain with my friends Christian and Daniel, to sit on top of the mountain, to commune with God, lighting a pyre fire before the Lord, letting our light shine before all men, that they could see our good works and glorify our Father in heaven on December 21st, 2025. Now, is so incredibly beautiful, the fullness of time that God has fulfilled in the things recently, and how he is increasing, ever increasing in the expression of his glory and goodness in my life. So I'm just going to rip through these as a testimony to the goodness of God, that on December 21st, 12/21, that's matching up to June 12th and June 21st, 2022, 3.5 years after the Lord did all of his goodness, the Christian Daniel and me, that we went to Ore Mountain and we lit a fire in the night on the darkest day of the year, which was then the 40th anniversary of my friends George and Valerie. As you've heard of me talk about recently with my friend George and all that the Lord has fulfilled in my life, going into December 21st of this year, found out that is my friend George and Valerie's 40th wedding anniversary. Now, the first time then that I went up to Ore Mountain was on May 19th, 2025, the day after we're halfway there video. And that also the day after my friend Aaron preached a sermon on Sunday, May 18th, 2025, talking about how the role of apostles and prophets is to go ahead of people and pioneer a way forward for them to minister to their needs. As I climbed up the mountain on May 19th, 2025, that I sang new songs to the Lord out of 500 hertz, which is the sound of reformation that God gave to me on May 5th, which is 5/5/2024, which is 595 days from when we spent the night on Ore Mountain. And then he clarified that sound that he gave to me on May 5th, 2024, on Christmas Eve, 2024, which is 1 year previous to when me and my friends went and spent the night up on the mountain. Coincidentally, also, that 595 minus 40, the number of my friends' anniversary celebration, who have imparted so much grace to my life, is also 555. 595 minus 40 is 555. No big deal. It's just the stuff my dad does. In preparing for our hike to go up to Ore Mountain, God led me to the fact that the trail up to the summit is Forest Service Trail number 444, which is the tuning standard of A444 hertz, which is the foundation to the tone 500 hertz being established as B4. Before the foundations of the world, Christ was the Lamb slain. Then A444 is also known as the key of David, which is referenced in Isaiah 22:22 and unlocks doors that cannot be opened and closes doors that cannot be breached. And all of this is in the year that my leadership is announcing that my home faith family's word for 2026 is unlocked. Strong's number G0444 is the word man and is the root of G0406, the beloved area code of the entire state of Montana, and coincidentally, the word Andrew, the identity of my friend Andy, who was with me when my friend Gail introduced Andy and I to Ore Mountain. The first time then that G0444 is used in the New Testament is in Matthew, where Jesus says, "Man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that proceeds from the mouth of God." And my friends and I, Christian, Daniel, and I, hiked Trail 444 as mature men to meet with God and to commune with Him on the mountain. From sundown on December 20th to sunrise on December 21st, 2025, there was 919 minutes of darkness, and we were up all night on the mountain. When I went to bed the next night, I looked at my clock just before I passed out, and the last time that I saw my clock was 8:18 p.m. Then I woke up and looked at the clock, and it was 6:16 a.m. And God said, "Did you know that 6:16 is 9:19 upside down backwards?" Also, I released God's perfect grace on Ore Mountain at 7:06 or 6:66, which is 11 minutes below 7:17 a.m. So it all brings it all into alignment of 616-717-818-919-444-555-595, 2,222, 406, 1221, 40 years, 40 days, and 40 nights of fasting in the desert, transfiguration on the mountain, transformation in the valley of the shadow, and a partridge in a pear tree. Now, out of all of those things that you heard, you may have said 7:06 being 11 minutes below 7:17 a.m. and said, "Hey, Elijah, that might be a stretch," which I might agree with you unless it was the fact that God revealed the life and findings of one Anthony Holland. Friends, previous in this week to making my video and going up onto the mountain with my friends, I was on Facebook again, and a TED Talk comes into my feed from a gentleman named Anthony Holland, who is a college symphony conductor that as he began to engage symphonies and resonance and tones and read a book on the resonance of cells in the human body, he began to ask this question of whether or not cancer cells could be disintegrated through resonant frequencies of sound and help people to bypass the processes of chemotherapy and invasive surgeries, but if they could just melt cancer cells using targeted frequencies to shatter them. Friends, he went off on an adventure to find a frequency that would work. And in his TED Talk, which I'll leave linked in my description down below, he said the following: "We tried hundreds and hundreds of frequencies, if not thousands, until we found the magic combination. The answer was you had to have two input frequencies, one low and one high. And the higher frequency must be 11 times the lower. It's what we as musicians call the 11th harmonic. When we added the 11th harmonic, we began to shatter microorganisms like a crystal glass. Friends, as they were doing their research, they found that they had to get a special transmitter that is inside of a vacuum, that it creates a plasma light. And I don't understand all of the science. Please forgive me if I say the wrong thing. But with this specific antenna, that it inputs a frequency and that a light begins to create a frequency that it emits in this plasma light generator. And the light turns on and turns off at the regulated frequency such that a steady frequency is not bombarding the cells, because that would create too much heat and cause all kinds of cell death. That they wanted to target specific cells and then not create too much heat. So it had to turn on and off and on and off and on and off. And that they found that as they had two resonant frequencies, one lower and then one that was 11 times the lower frequency, friends, they began to watch cancer cells melting right before their eyes while other healthy cells around them remained to living, healthy, and functional. Friends, as you can see, as he began to talk through his discovery and his findings, that the Lord began to then speak to me about extraordinary life with Elijah. As he concluded his talk, he said, I believe that the future of cancer treatment rooms for children will be a very different place. It will be a pleasant place where children gather and make new friends. They probably won't even know that they're sick. They'll draw pictures, color in their books, play with their toys, all the while unaware that above them are beautiful blue pinkish plasma lights emanating healing, pulsing electric fields, shattering their cancer painlessly and non-toxically, one cell at a time. Friends, it's so beautiful to see that as we arise to shine, for the glory of the Lord has risen upon us, that we shine to let our good works be seen before all men, that they could see our good works and glorify our Father in heaven. That as his ever increasing glory light is emanating forth from us, friends, that it's going forth from us to destroy the cancers of death, darkness, destruction, and consumerism in the bride. Friends, cancer is when cells begin to eat resources in the body at an accelerated rate and begin multiplying at just an uncontrolled rate, such that growths begin to overtake organs in the body and destroy the body through its overconsumption of resources. Fams, there is so much consumption that is happening within the bride, and it's a cancer. It's killing the bride rather than the bride being a producer, producing fruit through intimacy with her husband. She's been lulled into a consumerism that is growing a cancer in the body, such that she has way out of control appetites, but very little hunger for the things of God. Over the last 3.5 years of the first aspect of extraordinary life with Elijah, that I was arising and shining, going into the dark, click, click, on, off, on, off, on, off. That I was sounding a lower frequency, one that was coming from a crawl space, and then going up to then the high places, to shouting from the rooftops of my house and shouting from the mountaintops, on with the light, back into the low places, go up to the places that are 11 times higher, clicking on the light for all to see. And this process of back and forth, sounding the frequency of heaven in the valley, overshadowed by death, and then sounding the frequency of heaven on the mountaintop, overshadowed by glory, 11 times the lower frequency, as the bride is just going about her life, making friends, drawing pictures, just taking naps, that there is an emanating light of heaven that is glowing over her from a context of heaven's frequencies that are combating the cancer and destroying, melting the cancer in the body while no one is even aware. Nobody's even aware. What is Elijah doing? Where did he go? I don't know. But it's just this process of walking with Jesus for 3.5 years. That Elijah, he was a man just like us, that he prayed earnestly that God would invade his body with intimacy by the power of the Holy Spirit. And God is answering his prayers. It's so beautiful to then see what God is doing, that I've been arising to shine the glory of God, revealed in the good works that I have been destined to do, to please his heart and impart grace to you to know my Father more. The M of goodness, marking the back door of the Father's house in the valley, and the or marking the front door, inviting the treasure of the nations yet to come in, are being joined together in the more that God has for us. God is unlocking the more in his house and healing the cancer in his son's bride as she rests under the pulsing light of his glory, released through an antenna broadcasting his frequencies on the mountain. Friends, my encouragement to you is that God is moving forward in an ever-increasing expression of his glory light, and that in the fullness of time, as we consistently walk with him, that the consistent actions of faith over time release faith's fullness. And as we walk forward to please his heart with the exercise of our gifts to impart grace to others, that his glory light begins to emanate from us in a constant expression of revelation, turn the light on, and mystery, turn the light off. Revelation, light, mystery, light off, on, off, on, off. That God is pulsing his expressions of the glory light of heaven in a pulsing frequency such that it targets the cancer of the body and of those in the world to melt all of the powers of darkness. For this reason, the Son of God made an appearance to destroy the works of the devil. And so, my friends, as you walk forward in an expression of an extraordinary life lived before the Father, exercising your gifts to please his heart, that it imparts grace to others so that they can know the Father more. Daniel, Christian, my brothers, what a wonderful time to be able to hike or a mountain together, to just love one another, to spend time with one another, enjoying one another deeply, and to just sit with God in his presence, communing with him and letting the good works of our lives go up before him as a light on a hill that please his heart, reaching out to him, drawing near to him so that he could draw near to us in intimacy. And that as we sat on the mountain in the light of his love, letting our light shine for the entire valley to see, friends, that we merged the back door of goodness and the front door of the gold that is yet to come into our family to one expression of declaring God has more for our valley in the Spirit. So if you subscribe to what I am doing, fighting cancer one cell at a time by radiating the glory light of heaven, then hit that button. Hit it and then get it. Hit the bell as well so you get notified with the new content. I am a content creator. And if you loved this video, you didn't just like it, hit the thumbs down button. I pray blessings on all of our lives together. I love you guys lots, and I will see you in the next video.